Hello, you guys. It is Ebony. It is I. If you hear this kind of whirring in the back, I have a portable fan on because it is hot as fuck. Anyways, yeah, today we are going to do a couple of revisits. Someone asked about Flow and then someone else asked about Kalila. So we're just going to do some short little check-ins and we can start off with Flow. Also, I'm sorry I don't have my mic on. For some reason, I got a new transmitter and even that bitch is still not working. So yeah, we're right back in the ghetto. It really is my fault. But yeah, I'm just going to try to speak a little bit loudly so you guys can kind of hear me over this. Hopefully it will help. I'm sorry if it doesn't. Okay, I feel like Flow is very focused on elevating themselves. I feel like they really want to be taken seriously or have this be something that's really accepted by different like Western media. I'm actually looking at Nico Robin on my shirt. And just kind of, I don't know if they feel like they really want a big legacy or they feel like this might kind of change the perception of them in different places, because One Piece is definitely one of the biggest animes or mangas of all time, if not literally the biggest. So I definitely feel like they have very, very big dreams and aspirations. I also want to say, I know that Renee has definitely had, they talked about Renee having some relationship issues, but I don't know if her or maybe in general with the girls, this is a very good time in love or in personal life as well. I can also see this being, people have like maybe some of them will be leaving relationships for the best, so maybe personal life will be getting better, but some relationships will be left behind. Hopefully it doesn't sound too contradictory, like, you know, a bad man or someone who's kind of standing in the way might be the issue, you know. Yeah, I do think that they definitely have some people who are on the way out. I honestly feel like this might be like in management, or someone who's more involved behind the scenes, so this might be a boyfriend who's involved behind the scenes or something like that. But yeah, the thing about it is, I feel like unfortunately in the end, I feel like Flow they have very high aspirations for this, but it might not pan out. One thing I will say is that if the album kind of underperforms or doesn't do what they want, I feel like they have a very good idea of why. Like, there are definitely like absolutely some hits on this, but I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like the ratio of what is good to what is bad might be a little bit wacky. Like, let's say, I don't know, they kind of released the pre-track list, so like let's say there's 15 songs, right? They might have 5 that are really fucking good and then 10 that are kind of dud. Does that make sense? I know I saw something about how they had talked about how they all individually wrote songs and then they brought them together, and I think they kind of worked it out that way.
A lot of the songs we'd written individually, so we had to try and be as unbiased as possible when it came to certain songs. There was lots of debates because we were just having to like plead our case a lot, but I kind of made it more fun.
It was good. Yeah. It made us really like look at what we needed to be on the album, like separating that from ourselves.
So hard though.
We had a lot of debates with this album, even with the first single, Leak It. Like, everything was a debate, but I think that's really good because we all value each other's opinions. So a debate wasn't like a bad thing, it was like kind of fun. Like, what does this person think and why? How can we see it a different way?
There's just a part of me that feels like they might have, how do I put this? And I hope this is not a thought process, but it may have been. But I don't know if it was a thing of like, let's say hypothetically there are, what's the number that rounds or is divisible by 3? Let's just say there are 15 songs yet again, right? Let's say 5, they wanted specifically 5 to be from Stella, 5 to be from Georgia, 5 to be from Renee. Especially in terms of writing talent and just like an actual song creation, I don't feel like they're equally yoked, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. The point of having a group is to play into your weaknesses and strengths, and so if one person's not good at something, somebody else should be there to kind of overcompensate for it, and vice versa, right? I just feel like they might have walked away from some ideas because of this idea that we need to be fair or we need to take everybody's point into consideration. But I do feel like someone is definitely the weaker, like someone's weak points I think are kind of being glazed over because they want to be quote unquote fair, but I do think that it kind of makes the project or the quality as a whole suffer. I also find it very interesting because I feel like, especially if there are things that people really like or really dislike, I feel like they're going to be very quick to point out, oh, X, Y, and Z did this one, or X, Y, and Z did that one. Like, there might be some pointing the blame or feeling like maybe somebody else's contributions disproportionately were liked, that kind of thing. It definitely kind of seems like, I don't know, I feel like everyone is very possessive over what it is that they created or whatever it is that they advocated for or they spoke against. Like, there's definitely it's not necessarily a blame game, but it's definitely like, oh, you know, I didn't really like that, but the majority spoke, right? Or I really love that, and I was the one who really liked that type of thing. I think this will definitely provide growth and expansion. I don't think it's going to be the major success that they're looking for, especially if they're trying to like fully cross over with this. The thing about, I always say, like, I don't like, maybe it's because I'm an American, so like I don't really care, but I hate when the girls kind of pander to American audiences, because like, who really cares? But like, I've never been on the outside of that, so I wouldn't really understand what that experience is like trying to be accepted by the society here. But like, I know for a fact it's just like, they're nobody special, girl. Like, anyway, I will also say, I don't know if the girls feel like one person had disproportionate input, or they listened to someone who was kind of bulldozing them during this process. This could easily be one member feeling like, okay, well, it needs to go like this. I don't know if they have like a leader the way that K-pop usually do, but I don't know if one of them is low-key acting as a leader, and they might feel like this person has led them astray. That's what I'm saying. It low-key kind of gives blame game. Like, I know we all have a say, but at the same time, like, X, Y, and Z might have pushed for this or really wanted this, and then it failed. Or X, Y, only one person might have spoken up about this, and then that ended up going really well. I don't know. It definitely feels like at least one of them kind of feels a little bit underrated or purposefully ignored. Like, and I've said this before about them, where, because, like, they're not the type to bring their issues to the forefront, like, to the public. They're always going to work it out. And the thing about Flow that I think is amazing is they always really want to forgive each other, it seems. Like, they don't really want to assume the worst or be put in a position where they have to break up because they're really not getting along, right? The issue is, I just feel like some people are more outspoken than others, and I do think that some of the more quiet members are the ones who are willing to concede, might have the better ideas, versus other people who are kind of forceful and like, it needs to be like this just for it to fall on its face. I don't think that this will perform super badly. I just do not think that they will be very happy with the outcome in terms of numbers. I'll say in terms of numbers, right? I do think that the music could be disappointing to a certain extent. You might assume or wish that they had more. They kind of remind me a little bit of Tyler, where Tyler kind of seems to have corrected this about her narrative, but I was saying before, she's talking about A-pop and she was releasing a lot of real R&B records, and honestly some of the singles and stuff that they put out so far are very R&B, but it's called Therapy at the Club, so I'm like, what exactly does that mean? I just feel like they might feel like they could have worked on the narrative a little bit more, or even creating things that could have played into this narrative a little bit more. Mind you, like, Flow, like, because they are an R&B group, you shouldn't be surprised to hear R&B ballads and stuff like that, but like, when you name your album Therapy at the Club, I'm going to assume that we're going clubbing, even if there is, just a hint or two of, quintessential Flow. It might even be that this is a large departure from how they normally present, and this might alienate some people. Like, it kind of seems like they might go a little bit too far left or play into the narrative too much, and there is no kind of way to bring it back to an original identity. Because even if, like, for example, even if Beyonce experiments, she always feels like Beyonce doing it, and it never just kind of feels like, oh, you're really playing in somebody else. It never really feels like she's playing in somebody else's wig. One thing I will say about Jorja with her whole vocal cord injury, they ended up delaying the album by, I don't know if it was 2 weeks or... They definitely delayed it because of Jorja's vocal cord injury. It might have just been 2 weeks, right? So it went from, I believe the original date was the 24th. It was either this Friday or I don't know. It was supposed to be released in July, and the legal season in July, and then they pushed it to August 7th. I honestly feel like this debating energy might be Jorja. I know she's a Capricorn, and the devil actually came out. I don't want to say this was karma, but there's a part of me that just feels like she was... One thing I will say is that Jorja has been forcing it for a minute, and that's why I'm like, I think within herself she's forcing it, and so to me it kind of... I'd be inclined to believe that she probably was forcing other things. Like, I don't think this is the first time that she was just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and knew that she was doing too much and didn't really care until it became an actual injury. I will also say, especially with this vocal cord injury, I honestly feel like people probably would have warned her, or she kind of feels like she knew better. I'll tell you that much. Like, it definitely wasn't a thing where it just up and happened and it was like totally by accident. I do feel like she knew she was forcing it, whether this is like over singing, I don't know if this is a lot of shouting. Like, there's a part of me that just feels like this was really like a lifestyle, and it wasn't like I said, it doesn't feel like it was just like the first time that she had done a little bit too much, and then all of a sudden something rips, right? I think that she might have an issue with over singing, hypothetically, allegedly. I don't know, there's just parts about this to me that feel like she probably came from a good place, or she really wants the best for herself or for others, right? Very like an earth sign, like wanting the best, but the ways, like, the means don't always justify the end. And there's a part of me that feels like she could have been really combative. Like, this could be with herself, really forcing it. This could be with others, being really combative and kind of nasty. I'm not gonna lie, hypothetically, allegedly. I also don't know if she might be the one specifically going through some relationship issues, hypothetically, allegedly. I'm not saying that she left her boyfriend. They might be in an amazing place, right? Also, I highly doubt, based on all the kind of issues that they have with him, I highly doubt that they're going to highly publicize that, like, if they decide to stop working with him or they separate, that is going to be, like, a big thing. But, like, in my last video about them, I said that he specifically could be putting the battery in her back, where she might not necessarily, you know, be super combative on his behalf, but like if he does certain things, she won't really check him. And I feel like he might have really done his biggest one on her. I also want to say it might even be that he's taking a step back in terms of certain forms of business, and this is for the best, because I feel like his input, like he might have been pushing her to do certain things, or his input was really kind of getting her going in a way that was kind of inappropriate. Regardless, whoever this is, I feel like this person's taking a step back is really going to improve their relationship with each other. I also think it was a humbling moment for Georgia, because I do think that she does love those girls. Like, I've never really felt like they were like legitimately issues. I never felt like they were legitimately enemies, but I do feel like sometimes egos can get in the way, and people outside of the three of them can kind of stoke their egos to make them think it's okay when it's not. Like I said, I don't necessarily want them to disband, but I do feel like their number of projects left are definitely counted. Like, I feel like after this one, they might have like one or two more before maybe there might be a bigger rift. Honestly, because I'm like, I feel like the relationship will be repaired, but there's a part of me that feels like even after the next one, there might be some issues. I'm not hoping that they break up. I'm not hoping that, like, let's say hypothetically, they just take a super long hiatus, or they end up, you know, prioritizing solo work, and then maybe they never really fully come back. It's definitely that kind of thing where it kind of seems like there's a split, or there's like an ending, even if it wasn't intentionally. They didn't go into it intentionally wanting it to be the end. Maybe you never know what can happen over the course of a couple years, right? Because they're dropping this 2026. We'll probably see them back 2028, 2029. At that point in time, all of them will be in their mid to now later 20s. So like the ways that they're gonna act are definitely gonna be a little bit different. I would just tell them enjoy each other, enjoy the ability to be able to rely on each other as a group as much as you possibly can, because I do think that this is going to continuously be tested. But right now I think that they're definitely in a good place, a little humbled for sure, but I do think that it's a good place that they can and they should build on as positively as possible, just because I don't know if this is going to be an energy that remains forever, or the lesson that might be learned in this moment still might be forgotten, unfortunately, yet again. Overall, this might be like a bonding moment in between the three of them. I just don't know if this is necessarily going to play out in the public the way that they would like. So I don't know if there's going to be more reports. Like I said, I don't necessarily think it's going to be highly publicized, but there might be some management issues or behind the scene issues where certain people are getting dropped or removed. Like I said, they might be having some personal issues where they're not necessarily putting it on front blast, but like someone's ego had to be checked, and they're kind of on a level playing field for now. That's what I'm saying. It kind of feels a little bit karmic, where it's like they're definitely learning good lessons, but this might come at the cost of performance in the public eye. But things seem to get better behind the scenes. I think trust is the greatest wealth that they can build. I honestly think this will probably be an okay project. I think their next project will probably end up being a little bit better, if you were to ask me. Like, hypothetically, if it was their last, I'm not saying that it will be. To me, like I said, it does seem limited, but hypothetically, if it was their last, it would definitely be going out on a high for sure. And I do think that some of the foundations set from this one and learning from the mistakes of this rollout will definitely prepare them for that. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave flow here for now. Please let me know. You guys did ask, but no one gave me any super specific questions. I just wanted to look at the album again, and yeah.